Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing another sort of shoreline scene. This one's from Acadia, Maine. And yeah, I've got some kind of a very cool rocky waterline with some little pools that sort of fill in at different times of day with the tides, and some plants growing and just some neat reflections, as well as some choppy water a little bit further away. Yeah, just gonna kind of get into it. I think I'm gonna approach this one in a similar way to how I've been doing a lot of these paintings lately, where I do a sort of liquid dark layer and a liquid light layer, just to kind of set up all the contrast and build up the composition. Then I'll go in with knives and try to just create all the different shapes and colors that I see. Basically, it's kind of simple in a way, but it takes a little doing. But yeah, this one's got. I think this is very common. I think especially at the ocean, I feel like you get really strong contrast where the light is just hitting everything. You can see it. You can see it in the buildings. They get so weathered, and just the sun really hits everything pretty hard. So I'm gonna try and bring that through, and just like sort of showcase all the sculptural forms that the seaside has to offer here. Let's start by mixing up a couple colors. I'm gonna do kind of a deep purple for my dark, and a light yellow kind of for my light. I think it's been a color combination that's been working well for me, at least for certain things. What I'll do is I look into kind of the deepest shadows, and I think, what color is that really if it's not black? I think lately I've been seeing a lot of like really actually kind of warm shadows. They're a little bit like a warm purple, so it's like a kind of an alizarin that's very dark. So I'm gonna grab a bunch of alizarin, and then I've got to darken that up. So I'm gonna add to that. I'm actually gonna grab a little bit of Viridian. This is it's almost the only thing I've been using Viridian for lately, is to darken the alizarin, because when you mix a complementary color together, it will create a darker effect. It works quite well. So I'm liking that. Maybe just a dash of ultramarine as well. Just ultramarine is a warm blue, so I think it works well for creating purples. As does the alizarin. And the Viridian's just going to make it a little bit less crazy, because I don't want it to be extremely super bright purple. I did that on the last one, and it ended up being slightly annoying. It was cool, but it was like a little bit annoying to work with after, so I'll switch it up just a little bit. And to that I'm going to add a little bit of linseed oil, my eyedropper. A little bit of lavender solvent, a little bit of linseed oil. And what these are going to do is just let the paint be a little bit less thick. For my starting layers, a little bit less thick is good. Then as I get into the painting, I like to build up the paint thicker as it goes. That just works. It works really well. Gives the painting a little bit of a sculptural look, a little bit of depth, kind of one more dimension than you'd get if it was just flat. It's part of what I love about painting with paint. Okay, let's get that. I'm going to go right on and start painting that in. I'm gonna use my big brush. This is I guess it's like a 1 inch. Not sure. It's a number 14, long flat. And yeah, I'm just doing this just to sketch everything in and create a nice wet layer to work into. I'm not gonna put, there's some like really nice pine trees back here. I'm not gonna worry about them just yet though. Just gonna get the big shapes in. Sometimes the more complicated your scene is, the more it can help to sort of have a drawing or something in mind that you're aiming to. Helps you catch the things that don't make sense a little bit earlier. So just going ahead, seeing these darkest edges of these rocks and popping them in. Here. All this stuff looks a little crazy right now, but it'll come together. There we go. A little bit more linseed, a little bit more solvent. Thin this down just a little bit more here. I'm going to put a dark layer into this. This is kind of a pool. My waterline. I want to have that. This is more of a deeper purple, kind of a murkier, has a murkier tone to it. I think that, I don't know, we'll see. I like having like a bright underpainting that will sort of peek out from the rest of the thing here and there. Today I'm not as concerned about that. Looks pretty nice. And now I'm going to put down a liquid light layer. And that one is going to be, I'm going to use this unbleached titanium and just a touch of yellow ochre, I think. And this won't be a white. This will be just a little darker than that. I like to have a little space for my lightest lights to kind of pop in later. I don't want to have a lot of white sort of showing through in the meantime. So just a touch of yellow ochre right into this. And I'm starting to think about organizing my palette. I normally don't, but I kind of just work around, work on top of things. Everything gets a little mixed in, and I think it actually gives the painting a little bit more consistency, having a little bit of your original colors kind of get into everything else. Just like the same as mixing with paint on the painting in a way. Yeah, a little bit more liquid to this. We'll just start it up. Still pretty thick. A little more linseed, a little bit more. Like the whites. Some colors are just thicker than other ones, but the white in general tends to be pretty thick, so it takes a little bit more to get it to the right. I almost think putting a little bit of this on with the knife just because it's kind of helping me think about some of these edges, and some of these edges I don't want to mix because they have really great strong contrast. So I can get a sharper edge with the knife, and then I'll probably just apply more with the brush. But I'm kind of looking at these shapes, so I'm not sticking to the original shape if I want to change it. This cove kind of cuts in here. I've got a whole jumble of different rocks in there. These rocky scenes they're fun. They're kind of an interesting mix of being somewhat forgiving, but also challenging for me. Like no one's gonna notice if you have one rock that's like a little bit too big or too small or not quite the right shape, but it's also kind of fun to try to chase it. And just get the overall sort of form that the land has. It's neat to think how there's kind of like no two spots on Earth that are really the same. Also, like exactly what's going on here isn't going on anywhere else. There's patterns, obviously, but it's a little bit like a portrait in a way. So I take my brush now and just work into some of these areas. I'm not going to worry about taking the purple out of this brush. I'm going to kind of start in the areas that have a little bit of a darker look. Just go in here. Some different shapes. Oh, these little pools here. And even at this early stage, it's starting to have a form. Filling things in now. Alright. I'm going to do the same thing here actually. This water's not so dark. And if I was doing like a sort of regular way I'm not painting, I could even have probably just done this all one color and then started a video again, but that wouldn't have been as fun. Really all about having fun. Painting should be fun. If it's not, what are you doing? I'll let some of these brush strokes stay here, but I'm trying to get this paint not too thick. So if it's too thick, it'll be harder to put more colors on top. I definitely want to put some more colors on top. So. So I gotta kind of lose a little detail to gain a little detail. That's okay. Take a little bit of paint off here. Clean this up. Not sure about this. I just want to think about it for a second. Just taking a little bit more paint off even. Again, it's gives a, no. I wonder how many people are screaming at the screen right now. Don't worry, it's gonna all work out. Alright, so from there, I think I'm gonna start after I clean my brush. Let's paint out of this brush. start by working to the blues. So I've got my sky and my water. Start there. So for the sky, I'm going to use, let's see, a little bit of cobalt. I'm going to start with that, going into my light here. And maybe just a touch of ultramarine. We'll go kind of big with our blue. And I think from there I'm going to add some white. And since I want the white to be pretty bright, I'm going to add some of this actual bleached titanium, I guess. I keep calling it bleached. The other one says it's unbleached, so I guess this one is bleached. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take just a strip right across here. This is a sky that gets lighter toward the horizon line. I love getting to see the horizon line. It's something that, you know, it's kind of gets sort of extra calming. And you feel like you can see as far as into the distance if there's anything to see, at least have the effect of that. Then I'm going to come down to my water line here. This water line's actually a bit soft. It's not as bright as some might be. I'm going to put a little bit of white in here too. Pretty simple sky though. Not a lot of clouds here. So, got those in there. And I'm gonna smooth that out with a brush, but I'm gonna leave it for a minute. I'm gonna also put in a little bit more of the blue that's going into the water here. So I just went with kind of a dark version of what I had there. And this is cobalt and ultramarine. And I might dull it back just a tiny. I'm putting in a little bit of Acadia. Just make it a little bit more green. This is like a pretty deep ocean over here. So I like that. And it actually, the way this is breaking up, probably the toughest thing about using sort of broken color like this is being able to do it consistently where it looks good throughout the whole painting. It is cool. I'm probably going to smooth it out just because at this point I think it's a little too early to keep it. I find that doing that sort of later in the process works out best. Take a little bit of this dark color that we made early, just pop it in here. I've got sort of a darker set of rocks here that probably I wiped them out before. Okay, so I've got that. I'm gonna go back to my original brush here and just kind of smooth out the sky. That's pretty good, actually. Here I'm gonna do a little bit of texturing. I'm gonna go kind of right up to this water line here. Just start creating kind of a wave texture. Just making really short little brush strokes down. I think what I'm going to be able to do after is use this to create a little bit more of a wave texture. When I get this water is really it's choppy, but it's like really sparkly too. So I want to be able to pick up on this texture later and see if I can grab it with a little bit of the white and really bring that sort of sparkle factor up, I guess. A little bit. Kind of want to do, let's see, I'll go across it a little bit too. I don't want it looking like grass, I want it to look like waves. Yeah. Good enough. It's a little bit of, it's like a lot of light right along this edge here. I'll bring in later. So when I'm doing water, I try to like almost ignore a lot of the sort of glare and sparkle early on. It's just, those work out a lot better if you don't put them in too early, I guess. Alright, so put that brush down. Back to my knife. Alright, so stick back here. I've got some like dark blues and greens in these trees here, so I'm gonna kind of start mixing into this blue that I've already made. I want to go a little darker though, so I'm going to take some ultramarine, some alizarin, some viridian. Just start mixing up a sort of bluey green for these trees. I'm just kind of putting my knife down and picking it up as I kind of go across this tree line here. It gives me the effect of all those little trees, which are it's kind of perfect for exactly what these look like. I'm still gonna leave the big ones out for now. Just create generally like a tree texture here. There we go. Starting to set up though. Okay. Come down here. Put some more in. These are a little bit lighter. Take a little bit more cadmium yellow. Just bring in sort of closer bushes and trees here. You can sort of see the white kind of sticking through this too. It's kind of creating a nice effect. Okay. And then I'm seeing as I get a little bit closer again, I've got another kind of dark set. So I'm gonna go here and just kind of pop those in. So they're like a little bit rounder too. Pretty good. Okay. And here I've got like a kind of strong highlight, and this is where sort of foreground rocks are starting to kind of happen a little bit more. Back here I've got a lot of little stuff that's all kind of broken up, and I'm gonna go in there, put a little bit down. Like kind of using this mixed up color that I've got here. I'm trying to mostly focus on shadow shapes now. I'll be able to go in and put a lot of highlights in afterward. But right now I'm kind of trying to get the sense of like little lines, things like that. Shadow colors you almost can be less specific with too. Like if it's dark, your mind will just kind of make it read correctly, if that makes any sense. Okay. And then I've got another one here. It's easy to like feel like you should paint this rock in its entirety, and generally, like, I think with these kind of rocky scenes it's better to just paint all the dark stuff, paint all the light stuff, and just keep kind of working the whole painting. So I've got those look kind of good. This spool I'm actually going to bring up a little bit. This edge could be a little bit higher. Take a little bit more blue and white for this section here. A little more of that blue. And this little top part of this pool is pretty close actually. It's sort of reflecting the sky. As I took this picture myself, and I'm always looking as I'm making a composition. I like having something kind of leading you in, and I thought this sort of boulder here, and this pool, and then this dark shadow, which isn't really coming together yet, all kind of worked to draw you in that way. So hoping it'll come through in the painting too. Maybe even a little bit better. A little more cobalt, a little more ultramarine, a little more white goop, and a couple other little pools over here that are a bit similar. These are they're actually gonna end up being separated, but I might sort of blend them all out in one section because I want this to continue. And then I'll work the lights in back around them. But I think this one section here, if it kind of has a fade that transitions it all, that'll be nice. So, a little bit I have a little alizarin, a little bit of burnt sienna. Let's see, a little more ultramarine though. It's kind of it's like a deep, sort of purpley brown. It's basically like the original background color, but I want a little bit more of that. Trying again to not worry about going kind of too dark right now with this. I just want to bring in all the colors I want to see, and then I'll be able to put in all the little highlights and things. Lutheran, Meridian. Really nice dark section right here. I'm gonna have some grasses that are kind of coming in here. Those aren't gonna be quite so important just yet, though. Okay. Let's take this and I'm gonna start blending this out a little bit too. Just gonna go down with my brush. And I'm gonna wipe it a little bit in between here. Don't really want to bring the purple back in. Actually, I'm going to do the same thing right here. Just go across it. I'm not even going to worry about a lot of this edge detail right now. My main thing is just getting this sort of smooth transition to look good. And then once it kind of looks like it's all unified, you can put in all the little edge details again. Those are easier. All right, so that's pretty good. I think that will be a good base for that. I think I'll actually want a little bit of burnt sienna down here too. Let's do that. I just pop that on with the brush just because I didn't need very much of it. And just a little bit of, I'm going to lighten this just a little here. Okay, here we go. Put that in there. All right. And that kind of works. Lost track of my knife for a second. All right. So, just gonna go ahead. Some of these areas here. Just sort of bring my lines back in. So I've got this some big rocks down here. All right. So let's mix up some more colors. So I'm going to take a little yellow ochre, a little burnt sienna, a bunch of this unbleached titanium that's hanging out down here. To start putting in some of these rock shapes where I see the need for that. And got a little bit along this edge here. A little bit up there. Actually, a bit of this back here. These don't have to be perfect colors, they're just kind of close colors. There's so many different colors in this scene all together. Okay, and I'm going to go a little lighter. Squinting at this, I'm kind of trying to like blur my vision a little bit too, just kind of see what's really happening, but not get too stuck in anything. Got the more kind of golden yellow tones in here, right in this area. As I come a little bit more to the left, it goes a little bit more blue. And actually this side of this rock is a little bit more blue too. This might be, it's actually probably more of a sun angle thing than a specific thing with the faces that are facing this direction are more golden than the one. No, that's actually not true either. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep following it. It's good when you can pick up on like a pattern like that. It just can make things easier, but if it doesn't, then don't force it either. Okay. I do need more of a blue-gray version of this. Just grabbing a little bit of what I had, mixing it into this more blue color. I say blue, but it's really much more gray than blue, so I'm trying to keep it somewhat balanced by throwing a little bit of brown in. A little dark. Grab a little more of that. There we go. I'm also trying to kind of angle the knife along the way that I see these rocks kind of flowing. Good, okay. In here, so it's like kind of a nicer, sharper edge. A little shadow down there. Grabbed a little bit of regular titanium here. This satin's particularly light. It's the closest to us too, so. Pretty good. This one's kind of got the same thing going on. Got actually a dark shadow that I actually completely forgot about. Or did I? Yeah, I'm actually gonna move this one down a little bit. If you got too much paint on and you can't put more on, you can also just scrape it off. There we go. Yeah, I've got a little bit more small shapes in here, but I'll leave those alone for now. Scrape it off. It's kind of a nice way to bring in this sort of somewhat shaded edge. So I'm going to use a little bit of knife texture here. Just start smoothing this out. Kind of a grain to it, almost. And in the middle here, I've got to transition this a little bit. It's a little bit harsh. So I'm grabbing a little bit of that light, a little bit of this gray. Starting to switch between them a little bit. Just a little bit more white even into that. A little bit more yellow ochre. Here I'm seeing these little spots where the blue from behind is kind of creeping in here, and where I don't want it to look transparent, I'm just flattening it out a little bit. And just not letting the light through. I don't want this, I don't want these rocks to look like they're see-through. I want them to look solid. And some of these little edges, there's a lot of little bits that kind of do go into the water and are kind of breaking off. And that's cool too. Here, another kind of big rock. Nice and solid. And here, get a little more of this unbleached titanium. It's a handy color. Glad I picked it up. A little bit of that, a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow ochre. Just kind of blending in these two planes here. Here we go. Adjusting the darks and adjusting the lights, and just kind of using that as a way to create all these different forms. This shadow needs to move in here, and this one needs to move in front of it. I'm just kind of grabbing things, pushing and pulling. move along. And a little bit more white here on the side. Just seeing a little bit of this edge here. I like that. That kind of did this more of a broken texture here. Now I'm getting a little further along where I might be able to keep that. Looks pretty good, okay. It's kind of all about letting everything build though. More than trying to get where you're going all in one shot. Sometimes you kind of have to. Depends on what you're painting. With this, I think kind of built up a little bit over time. I don't know, maybe it's because that's how the land happened too. It didn't happen all at once. It's a little bit comforting. There we go. Okay. Here. Keep working on my edges. That's really all I'm doing. Just going around here. Here, a bit of dark vertical edge on the side of this rock. Turns around. And here I've got some cobalt and some cadmium yellow to start creating a little bit of this grass that's in here. Kind of block it in the shape. And at the top of it actually gets a little bit sort of orangey. I'm going to ground a little bit of this cad red light. Just throw it in here. I don't quite know how that will work out, but I think that sometimes just having it in there to kind of mix in and pull through. Can always get darker or less bright. It's nice just having those little pops though. Nice to have a little indication of something living, something growing on here. Alright, this goes. Still got coming along. Looking pretty good. I'm going to take a little bit of this phthalo yellow green, and mix it into my blue green that I had made before. I just want to start popping a little bit of bright a little bit of a brighter green back here. I've got kind of some nice layers with these trees lighting up. And I'm throwing some paint down. I can push it around later, but kind of good to get it in there. And then back here, start putting in just some more dark spots. I'm gonna bring the light back into this, but right now I actually don't want it to be calling quite as much attention as it is. So let's put some rocks in here. And then this shadow actually needs to come in here. So for that, go alizarin, viridian. Yeah, I'll just do those two first. And bring it in here. Push down too hard with the knife. Actually, don't leave paint on this right now. So I'm trying to go with a little bit of a lighter touch, because that'll actually make a thicker layer. That's doing pretty good. A little break there. I'm going to keep building this up a little bit. Okay, good. Also bringing in a little bit more right behind it there. Kind of creating that rock texture all the way around back here too. These trees don't run all the way to the water. There's kind of sitting up at some other stuff. Putting like a little bit of like a sparkly highlight on these as well. It's good that it's mixing in a little bit, because I don't want this to be too strong. I don't really want to take away from the foreground, but I do want it to set in there. Might be at a good stopping point. I'm getting just a little tired, and I think that I want to come back at this with some fresh eyes in a little bit. So I'm gonna do that. All right, see you in a few. All right, and I'm back. I'm just gonna keep going on this one. I'm gonna try and stick. Let me pop in with a brush a little bit. I'm gonna try and stick to a knife for a little bit though. I want to just work on kind of continuing to refine all these shapes. So I've got a pretty nice layout at this point. And then I just want to kind of get the feel of it sort of dialed in. It's actually not too far off, but I think there's still quite a bit I can do with it. So I'm going to start by getting a little bit more white out on my palette here. I'm going to use this to sort of add in the sparkle to the water. Use this knife. I'm going to use, this will be a good knife. Use this one because it has a nice long edge on it. So I'm going to start bringing in some of this, this little bit of sparkle on the water. I'm going to mix in a little bit of linseed oil with my titanium white. Just get a little bit on this edge here. Start carefully putting this waterline in to start. Just mix in a little bit more titanium to this too. I don't want it to be, it's a little bit drippier than I wanted it to be. So start just kind of popping along here, putting in these little bits of the waves here. Keep these kind of close together. Every so often I just go and grab a little bit more paint. I really don't want to, I'm not wanting this to mix into the blue at all. I'm just wanting it to sit on top really lightly. That's nice. There we go. It feels a bit more like ocean waves now. You can almost hear them. As I get it closer, I'm giving it, just going a little bit taller, giving it a little bit more of a wiggle, just to kind of create more of a wave shape. The nice thing is the texture that I put in yesterday is kind of hoping to pick this up. So. Pretty good sparkle. There we go. That's pretty good. I might do a little bit more with that, but it's got a good start. I'm gonna actually switch to a smaller knife. And there it is. Just because I want to come in around this little point here. Looks like there's a little extra turbulence, probably just the waves hitting these rocks. Gonna do the same thing over here too. Doesn't take a lot, just a little. Get that sense of the ocean kind of splashing up here. Can't really see the beach this area, but there we go. Looks pretty good. Set it pretty well. So right now the paint is kind of in an in-between dry state. It's not super dry, but it's actually at a nice. It's kind of in a nice state where I can move it around a little bit and just refine some of these edges without everything sort of blending into everything else. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I'll try and finish this one without doing any brushing. See how that goes. I think for rocks it's a pretty solid strategy still. Sometimes it's nice to be able to go in and just grab a little detail here or there, but just simplifying some of this stuff that's a little further out. putting some little sort of shadowy edges on here. A little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of raw umber. Just gives this section a little bit more of dimension. It's all pretty light though, so I just don't want it to look all flat though. Pretty good. I'm kind of looking for any spots where there's really sort of messy color, where like it might be broken, but it's not really doing anything for me. Like that shadow here was not particularly useful. Actually, could be even a little, this edge could be a little softer here. Little knife is good for this kind of thing. You can get in here and not really mix it with the surroundings too much. Dragging a little bit of this shadow color across too. A little bit more texture. The broken color is really good for giving that kind of rock texture. That's why I really like kind of letting the painting sit for a little bit too. Sometimes you come back and it'll work a little bit differently. Something that's been feeling a little unwieldy kind of feels more useful. A little bit more highlight on this edge here. A little bit too strong though. Knock that back a little bit. really keep going kind of to the top and then working closer. I think that just makes it a little bit easier as you kind of cover up one thing with another thing. It just works a little better with the perspective that way. And then as I get closer, I'm going to want to sort of at least match my detail level and probably go a little beyond it for and just having things up close be a little bit better focused. But here, like, this texture really works well for it. So actually leave it probably a bit rough, because that roughness actually is what gives you the detail. Yeah. A bit more raw umber, a little lizard. Pop that in here. Front here, I want to get some nice juicy shadows. They're a bit on the warm side. And they also are kind of relating to this water. So that's kind of neat too. This side's a little bit more blue on this rock. These ones that have broken off are definitely a little bit more, they're more rough and jagged looking than a lot of these bigger, flatter ones. Starting to kind of set in a water line here too, with the same dark color. Be a little more ultramarine. Go a little bit purple, a little bit raw umber. It seems to work pretty well. Okay. And then add a little cobalt. As I go back a little bit further here, and just, I want to make this darker, kind of in between a lot of these little edges and things. Just sort of sets them up. There we go. And just as the water changes, the water line kind of color changes too. It's actually pretty cool. There's actually a whole bunch of little rocks in here under the water surface. I'm thinking about how I'm gonna do them. I kind of, you know, part of that, it's a little risky, but I'm gonna just try putting in this waterline color first. I waterline color is also kind of the underwater shadow color. I'll try that. And then I'm going to go over it with more of a gray. Let's try. That might be too. I'll go a little bit more with this. Let's see. I think that's too light still. And mix in some more of that underwater color. Try a little bit of that. Yeah, I'm kind of at this place where I gotta decide if I want to sacrifice this sort of glassy water look for a better story about what's happening here. I'm gonna do it. Blending that edge a little bit since I dipped into the brush anyway. A little better. This brush works well for getting into all those little spots. That's cool. Some of these rocks under there, they're kind of green, they're kind of gray. I think brushing them in actually is working, since they are kind of underwater and they're kind of a little bit obscured because of that. I kind of want them there for the texture though. Not quite sure how to get that with a knife, so I think right here, this is going to be the solution. Alright, a little that, a little that, a little of that, and just keep first putting in the shadows under these rocks first, and then it's easier to go on and pop the highlight in afterwards, so that's kind of the idea. Shadow texture. Some of these are really, they're just basically, they are a shadow, so they're not going to have as much. This orange is a little much. Just feather that out a little bit. Okay. Grab a little more burnt sienna. Oh, this other color. There we go. It's pretty good. Let's see. I'm just gonna tidy up a couple things, but I think that actually came together kind of quick. Sometimes they do. I think a little bit more light up here isn't a bad thing either, too. Just grabbing a little, this kind of green mud color that I had. Just kind of flicking it through, a little bit of CAD light. A couple of tall trees that came through here, so put those in too. Couple of extra happy trees. Here we go. And I'll make them just a little greener, a little bit more happy. There we go. Get some little variety into this grass too. There's a lot of green in this painting, but I like where it is. It might as well be. All right. Pretty good about that. Maybe a couple little. Sparkles there. All right. So it's a little too intense. A little too bright. Just tone that down a little bit. There we go. All right. I think that's going to be everything. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're off to next.